Hey, you know what? It would be nice to fly to France on a Boeing. Well, it depends on the airline because in the future you may have to take an Airbus. Not that it matters to any of us, but it might matter to a lot of people working in America. Let's get to it.
You're not flying anywhere from the U.S. without a verified ID, by the way. So I won't be flying anywhere. No, actually, I do have a verified ID. I'm just kidding. I can fly anywhere I want.
Well, yeah, but you know what? In due time, you may need to show your papers when walking down the street. But I don't want to go into that much detail of what I think is possible. But nonetheless, what I mean by that in that intro really is Boeing, of course, being an American company, fully American, by the way, just to let anybody know. Yes, they do have places, for instance, in Canada where they assemble some parts. It is an American company, and the vast majority of Boeing employees are American working in America. Well, some of those people could end up losing their jobs because, let's face it, airplanes, airliners cost millions and millions of dollars just for one. And airlines are ordering 10, 20, 50, 100, depending on the airline and what model of airplane. But they generally order at least several of each type when they do order. Well, what about something like an airline in Europe? Why would they order from Boeing if it's going to cost them millions of extra dollars in tariffs? Not a few hundred thousand, millions. This is something that's going to end up very negatively affecting Boeing. And not only just Boeing, but suppliers that supply things for Boeing, which are mostly American companies, in some cases, maybe some Canadian companies as well. The Boeing plant in I think it's Winnipeg. Um, I could see it actually going out of business in 5 years. Oh, not going out of business, obviously, but having to shut down or move, which would put those people out of work. But there is an aerospace industry in Canada, so maybe they would find jobs somewhere. But what about the tens of thousands of people working for the aerospace industry in the U.S.? Tariffs could kill their jobs and bankrupt their families. So,
yeah, there's a lot of things that tariffs are affecting and are going to affect. And unfortunately, we have 3.5 years left of this bullshit. And there's no telling where it's going to end. It was sad. You shared that article, and I didn't even, there's so many. Look, there are so many spokes in this wheel of economy between US, Canada, Europe, China. I mean, it's way above my pay grade. Like, I can't even begin to understand it all, right? But yeah, it's obviously, it's a trickle effect and it's a domino effect. It doesn't just affect one thing. It affects 10 things down the line from everywhere that it spans off from. So,
well, it's like the auto industry when it affects, it's not just the cars. What about all of the parts? For many of the vehicles that are built almost entirely within the U.S., at least half the parts are coming from Canada and or Mexico, depending on the vehicle, but depending on the model, depending on the plant it's being built at. So that's an issue. So obviously there's been some changes made to try to alleviate some of that issue because of the back pressure that's coming back on Trump in doing this. But they're still not getting the big picture that this system isn't going to work. I don't know.
Well,
by the way,
no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it just taking the cars into effect. It's not just about the manufacturing plant. What about the truck driver that drives the bolts and nuts to the auto parts store for the cars or to the plant for the cars? What about the drivers that drive the cars themselves from point A to point B?
Yeah, and as
What
that
about
slows
the
down, they
paint
lose
suppliers
money.
that supply paint? It's just like a domino effect, and it's just
That's entirely, again, a very valid points. A lot of those people are going to lose hours, lose money, and may, in some cases, lose their jobs.
yeah.
Um, on that note too, I just read something a little while ago about Lint. The chocolate, how do you spell it?
Yeah.
LINDT, I think. They are ramping up their supplies to Canada in response to the tariffs. And I believe part of the reason of that is that some of the supplies, in order for them to save money, would go into the U.S. and then be sent into Canada. But now they're just going, no, we're just going to send them all to Canada to avoid the tariff issue, to try to avoid Canadians having to pay $18 for a single piece of chocolate.
Speaking of lint, let me just tell you that there's no better piece of lint candy than when you eat it directly from a manufacturing facility in the Swiss Alps in Switzerland. Oh my God, it was so good.
I don't know if I want to talk to you anymore. I'm jealous as hell now. The closest I can come to that is walking into a lint store in a mall. That's not close.
Oh, no. It's so good.
Although I used to work in a chocolate factory, so I had my fair share of excellent chocolate. I'm just saying.
Yes.
It wasn't Lint, no, because it was Canada, not Switzerland. But I did enjoy it.
Well, yeah, this whole tariff
40
thing,
pounds, but
yeah, this whole tariff thing is just going to be it's an ongoing saga. And I mean,
yeah,
if I understood economics better, I might be able to have a little more detailed opinion on some of the things, but I don't. Hell, I'm just trying to keep my own personal economics in order right now.
I hear you on that front.
Yeah, I don't have to tell you about that, but so yeah. Anyways, complete bullshit, and I don't know what's next. There's always some new executive order being signed, and he flip flops on this, and he signs this, and then he goes back on that, and he realizes, I should probably not tariff cell phones and computers. So
I'm curious about something, and I'm just talking about this particular, his current presidency, not his former presidency. Has he actually attempted to pass any laws through Congress at all at this point?
That's a good question, and it's sad to say that I don't know. I'm so used to him just reading in the paper on my phone, in the news that he's got a new executive order he's signing, and
yes,
I read today that he plans on taxing the rich more and either dramatically
which he said he wasn't going to do, by the way.
Right, of course. But when he does that, he's going to dramatically reduce and or expunge the tax need of the middle class and low class.
That's ridiculous, though. I mean, listen. If you happen to be in the very low class, and by the way, I don't mean that in an insulting way that it might sound. Because I'm in the low class, I assure you. When I say that, I mean you pay less taxes because you make less money. If you are one of the people that are going like, oh God, I would love to pay way less taxes or none at all and blah, blah, blah. You think about this for a second. Next time you sit down on your toilet, who do you think is going to pay to get that out of your house? Because it's...
Lionel, you got to realize in the U.S., I don't know how it is in Canada. You got to realize in the U.S., I think it's like maybe 20,000, 25,000. I don't know. It's not a lot, right? They don't pay tax anyways because they get it all back. Like every year, you get it all back.
No, hang on a second. It's the same thing in Canada. It's not 25,000, and you're probably wrong.
I don't know. I don't know what the number is.
It's probably more like in Canada, where it's somewhere between, depending on the state you live in, I imagine too, somewhere between $11,000 and $18,000. And you
No.
still pay the taxes, and then you get a refund. It's not like it doesn't come off your check.
Well, no, but
Your tax
basically, you're
still
not
comes off
paying
your check.
taxes.
Technically, you
If you
are.
get it,
They
all
give the
back and
refund
then
back.
some, you're not paying
Yeah, no,
taxes.
I understand that, but here's the thing too. A lot of people don't get it all back. Like if you're making $35,000-$40,000 a year, and you're basically living paycheck to paycheck, depending on what city you live in, but most likely paycheck to paycheck at $35,000-$40,000 a year, right? You're like, okay, well, I had to pay X amount of thousands of dollars in taxes, and you don't get all that back. You're going to end up getting your refund, and it's going to be nice, and you're going to either put it in the bank or spend it all, or maybe a little of both, maybe invest it if you're smart, whatever. But you're still not getting all of it back. You get back the point of of how much you're allowed to make before you have to technically start paying tax. But when you get a job, they take the tax off, right? And then you get back only up to that point. But that's not $11,000, for instance, or $15,000 of tax you get back. That's how much you can make, right? So the taxes you make that you have to pay on that is the portion you get back. And if you owe taxes for any other reason, then the month that you would get the amount you get back goes towards what you owe. So,
Okay, so I was accurate. It can be as much as up to for married filing jointly. That's not individual because of course I always
yes,
kind of default to that because I'm married.
yes,
But it's
understandable.
$24,000.
Yes, and it's about the same in Canada, but but if you look at single, not married, no dependents, you're probably going to find it somewhere between 15 and 20 at the most.
Yeah, right about 15. So I was close, but
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So, and it's pretty much almost exactly the same in Canada. But again, you still pay that tax because it comes off of your paycheck. But what happens is when you file your taxes the following year, then you have you get a rebate back on everything up to that point. Anything you made over it is still paid. And if you weren't taxed enough by your employer, then you might owe money or you get a very small or no refund, meaning you still paid tax anyways. And that's happened to me. I had about 10 years ago, one year where I actually owed $50, despite the fact that I worked every single day of the year. Well, not every day, not the holidays, but you know what I mean. Every working day I was expected to work, I worked. And I ended up owing $50, despite the fact that I was like at the time this far above the poverty line, which has moved up since then. So I would have been
Sure.
below the poverty line had it been 3 years later.
Yeah, and you would have got a bunch back.
What's that?
And you would have got a bunch of money back.
Well, not a bunch. I would have got about $50 back. It's only in the last several years that I started getting more money back, bigger refunds. It's kind of funny because you can actually get a bigger refund sometimes just being on unemployment.
What?
Because they tax unemployment in Canada. I'm not kidding. They tax the unemployment in Canada. Remember, you pay for your unemployment, right? So you pay for this for decades, and then you go, you're not working for 6 months a year or whatever, and you get to have 8-9 months of unemployment, but you still pay taxes on it. So when you file your taxes the next year, you get every penny of it back. In my case, it was $1,100
That's
because I had to be. But now that I'm working and I got a good job, I've already been given more opportunity after only a week. I'm doing well, so I like it. But that said, I don't like the idea of this whole tariff thing. I have things I want to buy, and some of them would have to come from the States, but now I have to find alternatives, and it's a pain in the butt. But oddly enough, I'm trying to avoid buying from Amazon unless it's stuff that I can only get at Amazon, and that's simply because I want to support local businesses right now, being Canadian. And you understand that, right?
Oh yeah.
You support your local sheriff. I mean, businesses. That was a good movie. I'm sorry.
That's funny.
Oh, anywho, having said that, I don't know how
Yeah.
good my audio is
So
going to sound today because I didn't have a chance to really get into an EQ.
oh,
thing
it
here,
sounds
I might
as
sound
good
a
as it did
little
last
muffled.
week.
Well,
It
last
sounds
week
fine.
was a bit low, but whatever. We'll figure this out. Okay, so
All
should
right.
we
So
talk some
moving on.
cookie?
So first, let me because I always forget to do this. First off, for those of you who watched our last episode, thank you so much. We had amazing views. But you forgot to hit the subscribe button. You forgot to hit the like button. Hit that like and subscribe button. We would sure appreciate it. Thank you so much. It helps fight the the capitalist tariffs going on. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and if you are watching, stick around a little bit longer. We have more to talk about.
Yeah.
Leave a comment if you want us to bring up specific topics. If you want us to talk about something else. If you're like, oh, you know what, I like this, but it's not talking about this one thing I was hoping they were going to talk about. Tell us. Comment.
Talk about it.
And we'll talk about it.
Talk about it. And also, too, for those of you who watched the Taco Rent episode for Taco in the Machine, let me just tell you, episode 6 and 7, she and Charlie are killing it. Go watch that channel. It truly, the Taco in the Machine podcast is truly awesome. She's got her audio better. She's got the webcam now instead of her phone. Looks good, sounds good. Topic's awesome. You got to go check it out because it's.
I have to
really,
watch 5,
really
6,
awesome.
and 7 myself, and we need to have her back on again.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And we got to have Charlie on too.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, she's killing it. So go check it out.
Charlie on here. I want to talk to Charlie.
We were trying to figure out a way to maybe get Charlie and Gemini to have a little, combo powwow, but not really sure logistically how that's going to work out. I've tried to research some of it. It's without. I'm not really sure logistically how that's going to work, but maybe we can figure it out. And one day we'll have a podcast of 5. No. Yeah, 5 because we'll have
6 because I'll have Gemini on.
Oh, so you're gonna have
logistically, I can get Gemini on here right this minute if I wanted to.
Yes, that's true.
I'm not going to today. Tune in, keep watching because you're going to get to actually talk. You know what? We should do once we get this working. I promise you, we need to do a live episode and get Taco in here. And
people can call in live questions.
People can call in live and talk to Gemini.
That's right. I'm sure Charlie would enjoy talking to you. That would be awesome. But yeah. So I also too, and I don't know if maybe it's because they rolled it out. Speaking of the whole Gemini ChatGPT conversation, I don't know if it's because OpenAI rolled out their memory function in ChatGPT, but I messaged you that they do have the same kind of functionality in the app where if you're a paid subscriber that you can do the live camera feed and it works. Right. I tested the same and it works just as well as Gemini does. So that's So the only thing that Gemini's missing is the memory
right now.
Yes. Yeah, because Gemini does not have the memory capability.
And Gemini does have a few other tricks up its sleeve, only because it's basically working absolutely perfectly tight with your phone.
Oh yeah.
So you can get it to do things that you're not going to get ChatGPT to do on your device. But that said, if you're just looking for information, looking to test out its abilities, the memory function, the camera, ChatGPT has that edge because it has the memory. Now, if you add that to the fact that you can do the camera thing, then
Yeah.
the memory is even more important, because now you can go back to it later and say, oh, when I was showing you that picture of my living
Yeah.
room, I was looking for my remote and I forgot to ask you, did you see it the last
Right.
time I was talking to you? And it will be able to tell you, yeah, it was on your couch just beside the throw pillow or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Which is actually pretty cool. And that's what I think one of the big things about it is. When you're looking for something, you look around and you're so frustrated because you can't find the remote or whatever it is you're looking for, your car keys or something,
Yeah.
and you're looking around and it's right in front of you. How many times have you found something right in front
Oh
of
yeah.
you? But this will see it. I mean, don't get me wrong, Gemini does it too. But what if you forget to ask while you're
Right.
talking to it?
You can't go
ChatGPT
back
will
to it.
allow you to go back and say, when I showed you, the kitchen table, did you
Yeah,
see
you
my
could be
car keys?
downstairs laying in
Right.
bed going, "Oh shoot," pull it back up and say, "Oh hey, um, earlier today when I was in my office and I showed you the office, I left something, whatever it is, glasses, remote. Did you
Right.
notice it in the picture?" And then say, "Oh yeah, I saw it on the floor underneath your chair or whatever." Right? Yeah, Gemini can't do that, so that's a huge thing. And I meant to tell you, I almost forgot. I actually used Gemini and the camera share feature today. I was going through some
Yeah.
questions on something, and there were some really elevated questions, some things I've never dealt with before. And so I was kind of curious, like, I wonder if Gemini can help me answer this. I literally just opened the app, put on the camera, pointed it at the screen, and said, "Answer this question for me." It read the question and gave me the answer, like instant.
I know.
Over,
It's
I did
great.
it like
Yeah.
multiple times on different things, every single time, just like instant. And I would say, "Are you sure that's the right one?" "Yes, I'm 100% sure." "And let me tell you why." And it would explain why. And then it would say,
Yes,
"Would you like to
exactly.
go, would you like to go into more detail as to why the other options don't fit this,
Yeah.
process or theory or whatever the
Yeah.
case
And
may
you can
be?"
also, if you're still not convinced, you could ask it to fact check itself. And
Yeah.
then it will. And
Oh, I
it'll
did.
cite what it did. Yeah.
Yeah, there was one time it gave me an answer. I said, "No, I don't think that's correct. I think you gave me the wrong answer. You gave me like option whatever it was." I said, "I'm pretty sure it's this option." And then it paused for a second and goes, "Oh, you're absolutely right. I see that now. You are correct. It is this option and not that option." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, cool."
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago when I was mentioning it. Is that it is you should always be diligent enough to realize that just because it sounds like it's correct doesn't necessarily mean it's correct. And Gemini will tell you that too.
Yeah.
Often say I'm not always right,
Yeah.
and so if it gives you like the obvious answer, like uh, who was the first man to set foot on the moon, and it tells you Buzz Aldrin, you know, right, it's wrong. But if it says Neil Armstrong, then it's right. But if you ask it to give you the specifics of how the space capsule worked and exactly how the guidance system worked, you can then ask it to fact check, because there is false information floating around on the internet about Apollo 11 and the guidance system.
Now, if it starts
So,
singing "Man in the Moon," I'm going to say you're absolutely right. That is the first. Yes.
but you know
This
who
is
could have
ground
used
control to Major
you
Tom.
know who you know who could have used Gemini Live with camera share uh, when he was president of the United States, would have been Mr. Clinton himself, President Clinton, because he could have just opened up Gemini and said, uh, Gemini, could you tell me where that dress was left?
Oh my God.
I'm going to have someone pick that up before it's found.
Can you tell me what gets stains out?
That's even better than what I said. Can you
Oh,
tell me
yeah.
when someone
That's
asked
funny.
me if I once smoked marijuana, what should I say?
Yeah. You didn't inhale.
I didn't inhale. That's a good answer.
Oh gosh. That's too funny. Yeah, there's a lot of fun things and cool things. It's speaking of just oddities,
Oh,
not
boy.
related to Chat GPT, but I was watching a TikTok earlier,
Uh-oh.
and
Not a TikTok.
Katy Perry, Gayle King, and some others took
Yes,
the
yes,
Origin flight
yes.
into space.
Oh, I feel sorry for Katie.
And so there's a
like Katie.
reporter. You good?
Yeah, I just
Okay, there's
I
a
feel bad
reporter that
for-
was
I
talking
feel
to
bad for
Katy,
Katy Perry.
and she said, "Okay, Katie, how do you feel?" She's like, "Oh, I'm great." It's like, "Okay, well, congratulations, you are officially an astronaut." And wait, no. And so the guy that's on the TikTok looks and goes, So he starts walking around his house and he flushes the toilet. And goes, "I'm officially a plumber." And they turn the light switch on. "I'm an electrician." He puts a Band-Aid on his finger. "I'm a doctor." It's like, you're not an astronaut because you flew a big giant penis into space. Okay, came back. You're a passenger on an aircraft that went really high and came back down.
Here's the weird thing is one of the women that went up there, she thought that people were just talking about because they were women, not because of the ridiculous amount of absolutely asinine press that they got. And I don't mean the amount of press. I mean the asinine press that they got. And because it was the press that kept saying, "Oh, you're astronauts," and they're astronauts and the blah blah blah. So this woman, I don't remember which one it was, referred to herself as an astronaut, and she compared herself to Alan flipping Shepard. Oh, we did the same route as Alan Shepard. First of all, no, you didn't. Okay, he wasn't only up there for 13 seconds or whatever it was, 30 seconds or something. And I mean, he wasn't up there for long, okay? But he was trained. He wore a special space suit and went in a capsule. I mean, you were basically launched on this thing, went and then all the way down. Did you hear the audio when they were actually descending? They're literally going, "Oh my God!" And they're screaming like they're having a big party and everything. And like, what astronaut would do that? Like, it's like it's literally, it's a thrill ride, and I don't blame them for acting. I don't blame them for acting like that. There's nothing wrong with that because that's what it was. It was a $1 million thrill ride or whatever. Millions of dollars.
I would do it in a matter of seconds. If someone said, "Hey, do you have $1 million?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And then you want to fly to space? I'm like, "Let's go, baby."
No, I don't know that I would yell like a little girl, but I'd still.
No, I wouldn't yell like a little girl, but I would. Yeah,
I guarantee you, I wouldn't come down back to Earth and compare myself to Alan frickin' Shepard. Okay, a freaking pioneer who risked his bloody life to do something that no one, one other person had done at that point. Yuri Gagarin, not gonna, refuse to give him credit. Russian or not, he was the first man to be up there. But that's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's space tourism, and I hate to tell you this, people, you weren't the first to go. Hundreds have already done it.
Right.
I'm just talking about the tourist part of it. They do this every month now, don't they? A couple times a month.
It's maybe not that regular, but it's pretty regular. Yeah.
It's. I think we're at that point now. To be honest with you, we just don't hear about it most of the time because it's not always famous people going, just rich people. Because while the world is starving, while the world is going into terrorism, while we're on the verge of World War frickin' 3, it's so important that you had fun going up into space with the millions of dollars. For the few that get to go for free because it's a good publicity stunt, congratulations. I don't blame you. It was free. For the rest of you, I'm glad you spent your money. The guy next door to you is starving to death. Have a nice day. I have no respect. I'm sorry. If I had $14 billion in my bank account, I would probably be giving some of that to the neighbors across the street that are hungry. That's just me.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I agree. But philanthropy is not probably what it needs to be on some of these billionaires, but there's a lot of them that do give a lot of money. A lot
of them do, and a lot of them don't.
And it's not It's not your responsibility or my responsibility or
No, I
anybody's
agree.
individual responsibility to make
Yeah.
sure everybody in the world is
No, and
fed.
100%, I
So
100% agree. I just think it's ridiculous that with what's going on, that the media makes a big deal out of it.
no, I agree. I agree with that.
About
Yeah.
people going in, people having a tourist thing into space. I don't think a rich person should say, I'm not going to go on a cruise because there's some starving people in Africa or America for that matter. You have the money, you want to go on the cruise, you earned it. Go on the cruise. I 100% agree with that. I just
Yeah.
think, first of all, me personally, I would have a hard time with it. And here's the reason why. If you took everyone who had $1 million or more, and that's a lot of people nowadays, it's still a minority compared to the ones who are poor, but it's still a lot of millionaires in the world. If every single millionaire in the world gave up $10,000, everyone in the world would be okay for a year. Think about that for a second.
Yeah. Well, that's not going to happen. So,
Yeah. It's not going to happen, but it's a drop in the bucket. It would be like me and you saying, yeah, okay, I can give up $5.
right. No, I got it. I got what you're saying. And again, I think philanthropy is
Yeah.
definitely for some people not on par as to what it should, but here
Yeah.
and there. We could probably
In
rant
all
about that.
honesty, here's the thing about philanthropy, though. Some of them give away millions and millions of dollars. That's all great. That's all fantastic. But often that millions of dollars is going to certain types of organizations where the money doesn't actually go directly to benefit anyone in need. Is it to an organization that is good and does good? Sure. Supporting a hospital is never going to be a bad thing, especially if that hospital does research. But my grandmother, for instance, donated her time and money directly to a guild in Children's Hospital in Winnipeg that actually made sure that what they did went to the sick children in the hospital. So they got a new ward, so they had a play center. They got books to read. They were given things that they needed to be more comfortable if they were terminal.
Well, yeah, it's just
Stuff
like
like
St.
that.
Jude. Have
But
you heard of St. Jude Hospital?
yeah, that's,
Yeah, nobody pays. If your child is admitted into St. Jude, you don't pay any money. It's all
well,
100% funded,
I'm in Canada.
donated.
We don't pay anyways. That's not what I meant. I meant the stuff to make kids
Right.
more comfortable. Like they go in and they make sure that they had Christmas presents and
Right. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I'm just
had a
saying
good
that
Easter, that they would have books to read and stuff like that. Yeah.
St. Jude is in Kentucky, not far from here. And it's always a
Right.
big, like anytime we can give to St. Jude, we give to St. Jude because if your kid
exactly.
has
See, that's what I
terminal
mean.
illness or there's something
Yes.
that only that hospital can take care of and they take your child in, they put you up at a hotel by the hospital. If you can't be in the hospital, they pay for all of the
So they
medical.
basically do the same thing as Ronald McDonald House kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Or have you heard of that? You've heard of that,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, there's Ronald McDonald House in pretty much every major center as far as I know. And
Yeah.
and that's kind of what they do, like whole families need to be with their sick child who's
Yeah.
either terminal or long-term illness and it's going to take a long time to treat. Then the
Yeah.
entire family can be moved into, and so what you're saying is they do stuff like that as well for
Oh
at
yeah.
that hospital. And obviously
Yes.
that's made possible, I'm sure, entirely through donations over the year.
100%.
Yeah. So some of those donations would be from rich people. And that's
Yeah,
obvious.
and I'm sure there's a lot of
And then you would have
corporations that actually-
fundraisers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you would obviously have fundraisers. And then people like
Yeah.
you and me who would just donate every $5 any $5 they could come up with, or $10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, our family for years had always been involved, and I'd done it myself. Volunteered at what we had called a book market in Winnipeg. My grandmother helped start decades ago. Every year, all year long, they would have people donate books that they were willing to give up of all genres, and they would get sorted by volunteers over the course of the entire year. And then for 2 weeks, They would have the space donated by the mall, not pay for it, donated by a mall, and they would set up like this kind of like, I don't want to say a booth. You had to actually walk into these walls. They were like temporary walls put up, and you'd walk in and you'd have all of the books laid out and shelves and in bins and stuff, and you'd walk through, and the books would cost anywhere from 5 cents to $3. And the books that even back in the 80s and 90s would cost you between $20 and $70, you were buying for somewhere between 50 cents and $3, right?
Yeah.
And so they made hundreds of dollars every year from an entirely volunteer program. And over the years, they made a lot. And that's the kind of thing I'd like to see. And if people who have more money are able to give more, why not? It doesn't always have to be. I mean, that was maybe not the greatest example. Okay, I'm going to go across the street and give the neighbors some food. But then again, why not? It's like, because honestly, if you know your neighbor, and that's the thing, people who have just enough money to go paycheck to paycheck have no problem asking their neighbors if they want to come over for dinner because they know they're running on hard times. One of them has lost their job and they got 3 kids to feed, and they're like, why don't you come over for dinner next Thursday and blah blah blah, right? Because they're friends and your neighbors.
Right.
But
Yeah.
somehow people think, oh, they're rich. Other rich people don't have problems. Rich people can have problems too.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
100%.
true.
Matter of fact, in some cases, even more problems because money just brings its own level of issues.
That's true. That's true.
But at any rate, so we're going to pivot off of this conversation because, you almost forgot. I keep forgetting 3 times. I keep meaning to mention this. Real quick on the Gemini. Anybody who has the VO2 video creation capability,
oh,
go check
here
it out.
we go.
It was pretty cool. He's upset because Canada doesn't have it yet. Apparently,
it's not that Canada doesn't have it. It's just me. I got 3 phones and none of them have it.
But
why did you get it first?
Right now, I can only do like an 8-second video or something. But it actually generated very realistic image, so it was actually pretty cool. So I don't know. Anyways, if you have it, go check it out. It's rolling out now to Americans. I mean, Android users.
It's not rolling out to anybody. They lied. I haven't got nothing. Oh wait, spooky face. Ooh.
Anyways, I just wanted to mention that. Anybody checking that out? It is pretty cool. AI is just taking leaps and bounds lately. Hedra, we played around with Hedra for a long time. I'm still in their beta stuff and all, and they still give me free credits for doing stuff. It's kind of crazy. I didn't expect it to be quite that long lived, but I'll take it because I get to play around with it, and it does some pretty amazing generation now. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty neat. I still think it's still too fake looking. Personally, it seems neat, but I have a feeling that once this VO thing gets a little more teeth, and they start allowing you to actually dub in and do that, I think we're looking at a couple of years before Google does that, though, because they seem to want theirs to be perfect.
I don't know.
When they do that,
things
they're
moving
probably
so
going to blow this
fast.
Hedra thing out of the. Yeah, but that's going. Look, come on. Look how long it took them just to put this out. Yes, it looks a little bit more realistic than some others, but they also limit what you can do to a point. Like you're not going to ever be able to ask VO2 to make Will Smith eating a plate of spaghetti. It won't do it. Okay.
Will Smith eating spaghetti. Another thing
that's
too.
The big test, man.
We haven't talked about is
hockey.
Apparently, well, yeah, but apparently we're both having some weird issues with photos and shit. And I here's another thing too. Is like, so I was going to show that video on here, that little 8-second VO video,
right? Yeah.
And I mean, it's on my phone, but it didn't put it in photos and back it up, which it always does that. Like, So
Well,
it's
you got to
not.
go into photos and tell it to back it up. You probably it
No,
probably
no,
turned that
it's
feature off.
already. No, I know what you're talking about. The local folders. I always make sure I back up all my local folders. So I don't know. I'm gonna have
Uh-huh.
to look at it. It's not showing up. I'm gonna have to look at it and find
How
out.
long ago did you send me that?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure I can manually upload it. Of course,
Oh,
maybe something's changed. I wonder if they've maybe gone and made
wait,
changes to
which
the
one are you
local
talking about?
folders.
Which one are you talking about?
The dude that's typing on the keyboard.
Okay, hang on a second here. Let's see. Downloaded. All right, let's see.
Anyways, you don't. I mean, you don't have to play it. I was just like wondering, like,
I
why.
can't play it from here. It doesn't matter. um,
I wonder if because of all the changes, maybe they changed the whole local folder thing, and I need to go in and recheck that. That's possible. I didn't actually go back in and re-look at some of that because that's done weird
well,
stuff.
my
before.
message folder isn't backed up, so I don't know how yours works. I don't back mine up because people sometimes just send me a bunch of stuff all the time. Oh my goodness, I forgot to send you this picture too. What? What? How did that end up there? That's weird. Oh, I don't have to remember.
Wait a minute. Is there not a? Is there?
Okay. Well, I don't know what you're doing, but maybe we should move on because we might have listeners that have no idea what's going on right now.
Yeah,
So for that,
it should have put it in the downloads folder. My downloads folder is backed up, but I'm gonna have to figure out where it put it. I don't know. Anyways, it's just one of those stupid things. So, yeah. So, final topic of the night is going to be Stanley Cup Finals, and let me just say
not the
that
finals. We're nowhere near there yet.
well,
We're still in the first round. Game
meaning
two.
the playoffs.
Game one for one team, for two teams.
Yeah, most of what we talked about has been accurate as far as what we thought. Other than you thought the Jets were going to get swept in 4 games, which I knew was a complete.
I did not say that. I said the Jets were going to destroy them right out of the gate.
Okay,
But
I'm glad this is all recorded.
I saw the score for the Minnesota Wild versus who are they playing? The Knights, the Golden Knights. And I did predict that the Knights were going to embarrass the Wild to such a degree that no one in Minnesota would want to get out of bed for a year. I didn't say that. I'm just kidding. Please don't kill me if you're in Minnesota. But here, however, the Wild have actually, they destroyed
Kicked the
them.
shit out of them last game.
And so I'm thinking to myself, this is like the Minnesota Wild of old from a couple of years back when they really were one of the best teams in the league. I would like to see them win. And it's not because I hate Vegas, which I'm sorry I do. But because if they win, when the Jets beat the Blues, and they're going to, the Jets will play them in the second round. I think. Yeah. Yes. So that's going to be a cakewalk for the Jets. And if you're in Minnesota, I'm not sorry.
Well, so here's the surprising things to me. Senators actually beat the Maple Leafs.
No,
I was
they didn't.
surprised by that. What?
No, they didn't. They lost in overtime. What are you talking about?
Oh, so they only okay. So that's dumb. I was looking at this overview of the score sheet because I didn't watch all the games.
Okay.
The overview shows the end of regulation, not the end of the game. That's dumb. Why would you do that?
Let me say something. There's an interesting little thing going on here. Max Domi scored the overtime winner. His father, Ty Domi, however many years ago it was, like 20, 30 years ago, whatever, played for Toronto, and they were playing the Senators, and he scored an overtime winner. Pretty much the same way.
That's funny.
So
yeah,
it's
they
like
kicked the shit out of him
like
on
son,
game
right?
1. Game 1 was 6-2, and I'm like, okay, that's what I expected.
Right. But I did say, and I think, I don't remember if I told you or somebody else, but I said, I'm pretty sure Ottawa is going to give them a much harder time in the game 2, but Toronto will probably still win it. Because Ottawa's better than what they put on in game one. Toronto can destroy you one game and then they have to fight hard the next. They're not
Yeah.
that consistent, but they are an excellent hockey team. They have a shot at getting all the way out.
Yeah,
But
and I really wish the Avalanche would just get off their ass and beat the shit out of Dallas, because I want Dallas to lose and go home.
Can I say that I disagree? After what happened last year, I do not want the Jets ever playing the Avalanche again.
Okay, I don't care about the
Ever.
Jets. I don't.
I
like
want
Dallas.
and Minnesota to win because Winnipeg will destroy either of those teams easily.
I hate Dallas.
Four straight. I didn't say I like them, but you see, the thing is I remember them when they were Minnesota. There was no Wild at the time. It was the Minnesota North Stars. When they moved to Dallas, they just dropped the North.
So,
Yes.
next game I
Yes.
want to talk
That's
about
true. Which one?
Edmonton and LA.
LA
is making it a little more difficult than. Of course, it's only been one game, but that one game, LA. Okay, so here's the thing, and see, this is why it's just like, man, the Oilers. You just never know what you're gonna get, right? The Oilers were down 4-0 in that game, 4-0.
Yeah.
Came back to tie it 5-5. They lost in overtime 6-5. Unfortunately, the game tying goal, though, I don't know if you watched it, was I
didn't.
none other than a Connor McDavid magical. I'm going to take this puck and shove it right up his ass, literally, because he ripped that sucker through the 5-hole. Like I was like, oh my god.
Well, I just want to remind everybody that that's only possible because it's not Connor Hellebuck in the net.
This is true, but
go. I'm going to keep saying it no matter what.
Some of the goals that man scores are just amazing.
I would like to see the Jets versus Edmonton in the conference final, and I'll tell you why. Not because I think the Jets could beat Edmonton easily. It would be a tough fight. It would be a tough fight, and whoever won it would deserve to win the Stanley Cup. But the reason why is because the Jets need to destroy a good Edmonton team, not a we barely made it Edmonton team, but a good Edmonton team. Because I've been waiting for that to happen since the last time they beat Edmonton, a good Edmonton team, when they played them for the Avco Cup in 1979 with Wayne Gretzky in the lineup.
Yeah.
So, we didn't know Wayne Gretzky was going to end up being a superstar. He was 19 years old at the time. But I've been waiting all this time to see that happen. So, because the Jets lost to Edmonton year after year after year in the 1980s in the playoffs. They would beat Calgary, but then Edmonton would destroy them. If they played Edmonton in the first round, Edmonton would destroy them.
This is the third year in a row the Oilers and Kings have met in the first round of the playoffs.
Yes.
Every year they beat the shit out of them. So I'm hoping that holds true again, because I'll be honest with you, outside of the Jets, I hope the Jets, I'm pretty sure they're going to go into the Stanley Cup final. But if for some reason they don't make it, I really want to see the Oilers.
I'm not talking to you anymore.
I want to see the Oilers get a cup. I think
so
McDavid
now you're not
and
a Jets fan
Draisaitl
anymore, and now it's all about the Oilers. No. I see where you're going with this.
No, that's not what I said. It's not what I said. I said outside of the Jets, if the Jets don't make it, that will be my number 3
there's
team.
No, if the Jets don't make it, they're taking the whole thing. Okay. This is all about the Jets. Mark Scheifele is the best player in the playoffs right now.
Moving on. Hurricanes,
that's
Devils.
True. I'm not just saying that. Look at the stats. He actually is.
I know, but we don't need to discuss all the details of the Jets.
Okay.
Hurricane Devils. I'm not even talking about
That's
it.
That's not even interesting.
It's exactly what we knew it was going to be.
If you're a Hurricanes fan or a Devils fan, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
Capitals, Canadiens.
Not an interesting series.
Again, it's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Capitals beat the shit out of Canadiens.
Beat the shit out of them.
Well, they're leading the series 2-0.
They didn't exactly beat the shit out of them.
It doesn't matter. It's like win or go home pretty soon. Like you go
Well,
two
okay,
down.
fair enough.
You go two
But
down. It's the Canadians.
okay,
They're not winning
listen
that
to me.
series.
The
It's over.
Canadians are not even a good team. They barely made it into the playoffs.
Exactly.
The Capitals finished second overall, and they're barely scraping by them. And the only reason why they're actually even scraping by is because of a single solitary goal by Ovechkin. If Ovechkin suddenly decided, I'm not going to come to the rink today, they wouldn't win a game for 10 years.
No, I'm pretty certain that Washington's going to get their asses kicked in round two. I don't care who they're
my
playing
God,
against.
They're done. They're done.
I'm pretty
It doesn't
sure they're
matter
going to
who
get their
they're playing.
asses kicked.
They're done.
No.
They have no shot. And that's pathetic to say. You finished second overall, but you have like zero chance of making it out of the second round. Because here's the thing: the Western Conference is way stronger than the Eastern Conference, save for maybe Toronto. Toronto is the only team in the Eastern Conference that could compete with all of the Western Conference teams. Toronto would beat, well, theoretically, Toronto could beat any team in the playoffs in the Western Conference, even the Jets. That's why I think a Jets. That's why I think a Jets versus Leafs Stanley Cup final would be the absolute best Stanley Cup final you could see.
When you're right there in Toronto, you go see yourself a playoff game. Look at that.
What the hell are you talking about? Let me point two things out. Every ticket is already sold and they haven't even gone on sale yet. Two, they cost about $17,000 just to ask if you can buy one.
Well, just get your tax refund back.
You can buy a ticket. Have you ever? Yeah, God, no.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
The only people that get into the damn arena are the ones who bought tickets 10 years before they were born.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard stories.
No.
But,
you can't even get a ticket to a Winnipeg Jets game, never mind Toronto.
Yeah, so everything's
all about
Lightning,
on
Lightning
TV
Panthers. Now. I think the Lightning Panthers, I picked the fact that I think it was going to be a toss-up. I think they're both good. You thought the Lightning were for sure going to take this, and the Panthers are up in the series.
No, I know, no. Roll the tape back. I said the Panthers. I was 100% sure the Panthers would at the very least give them a run for their money, but probably win it in 6 or 7. What's that at right now?
Well, it's just they're playing game 2 tonight, I think.
Who won game 1?
Because Panthers beat the shit out of them 6-2.
There you go. I told you.
No,
I don't know why you thought I said Lightning. No. The Panthers are a better team.
But I think it's going to be a toss-up. I don't think it's going to be that easy. What I said was
the Panthers are nowhere near good enough to win the Stanley Cup. But the Lightning are not a phenomenal team this year. Can they turn things around? They've surprised people in the playoffs before. But here's the thing about the Lightning. They have been unbelievably inconsistent in playoffs over the years. They'll have one year where you think they're not going to be that great and they just dominate, and another year where they're supposed to be the best team and they get knocked out in the first round.
Yeah. Well, so they still have Vasilevsky, which is one of the top goalies in the league. Kucherov, Point. They still have some phenomenal players. I don't, if the Panthers think they're going to beat the shit out of them like that every game, they got another thing coming, and they better.
What do the Panthers have though? What's their best asset?
I don't really know. The coach. Okay, you can say the coach, but he's not on the ice. Obviously, their goaltending is still strong,
and he knows what he's doing.
Well,
however,
I'm not saying
they're not going to win, and I'll tell you why. Because he wanted the Jets to win the next Stanley Cup, so he gave them all of that. Like, we're going to do it because we loved that coach. That's not why they're going to do it. They're going to do it because they're good enough. So honestly,
they still. I mean, they have. Who's their goalie? Who's their goalie right now?
I actually don't remember. It's bad.
Because they changed goalies. Goaltending.
Well, the thing is they're still a very strong team, and the reason, one of the things about them is that defensively they're scary good.
It is still
But
Bob.
yeah,
I thought Bob Rossi left and went to another team, but obviously
well,
Bob Rossi
he's
is.
like 300 years old. I'm surprised he's still playing. Um,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, he's an amazing goaltender though, and he can be a clutch goalie. He can also screw up badly, but he can be a clutch goalie. So if
Yeah.
he's on his game, he's very hard to beat.
Oh yeah.
So, but again, the Panthers have a defensive structure that when they're on their game, they're without a doubt one of the very toughest teams to beat regular season or playoffs when they're defensively on their game. But unlike a lot of teams, when they do their best defense, they do it and open an offensive opportunity. But one of the reasons why they do it like that is because of Paul Maurice. He coached the Jets in the exact same way, and he did it very successfully. He only left because he didn't. It wasn't because he didn't believe the Jets could go any further. He just believed that his style of coaching, he had done as much as he could do to get the Jets as far as he could get them. And he actually felt like he was going to hinder the opportunity for them to move forward because he believed his coaching style was as far as he could take it. So he ended up getting the job with the Panthers and takes them right to a Stanley Cup the very next year, using the exact same coaching style. And you can see that in the way they play. They don't have the same level of depth and talent overall across the board as the Jets, but they do play very similar to the way the Jets played 2 years ago. Now the Jets play a little bit more differently. They have an even better defense now. A lot of that was built off Paul Maurice, though.
Yeah. Well,
They
it'd be
didn't make all
interesting
the
to
changes
see.
there.
If I'm not mistaken, won't we be in round 2 the next podcast?
No, no. They've really screwed things up this year. But
Have they
it's probably
spanned it out?
of the way
Because
things
usually
went.
it's like every other day is a game.
I would like to point something out. Somebody's playing game one somewhere today, while everyone else has played two already. The
No, that's not
Jets,
accurate.
if no, hang on a second, hang on. Well, maybe it was yesterday, whatever. But the point is if the Jets and Blues were to go 7 games, they would be the first team to play in round one, first two teams, and they would also finish later than everyone else if they all went 7 games. So that's more than once every 2 days. The Jets are not playing today. They didn't play yesterday. They're playing tomorrow. And then they don't play again until I think Sunday or something like that. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that's a real spread out. So okay, yeah. So by the yeah. I mean, we'll obviously be, I'm sure, talking about some teams that have finished because I don't think every team's going to make it the next 7 days.
Yeah, well, we should be talking about the Jets being finished.
You'd think so, yeah.
But we'll see what happens. The Jets could end up going 5 games, and if they do, then it should be finished by then.
Yeah.
But if any team that's going 7 won't be done yet.
Yeah.
Because it takes more than 10 days to do 7 games, because at the very quickest, it's once every 2 days. But years ago, they started changing it to every 2 days, like 1 game, and then 2 days later, the second game, and then it would be 3 days later. But now they kind of changed that again. It's just weird. It's a little inconsistent the way they do it, because not everyone is waiting the 3 days. And sometimes they have 2 days in between game 3 and 4 for some teams. It's weird.
Yeah.
But you know what? You know what they used to do back in the day, and I don't know if you remember this, because I don't know if I don't remember how long ago they changed it. But this might be before Nashville's time. They used to do game 1 on a Saturday, game 2 on a Sunday, game 3 on a Tuesday, game 4 on a Wednesday, and game 5. And you get the picture. There was
I don't remember it being quite that close, but I do remember every other day.
The Stanley Cup final every year for a long time was played somewhere between 2 days before my birthday and 5 days after. Now it doesn't. The Stanley Cup final isn't until like December 31st or something. It's well, maybe not that late, but
Well, yeah, 'cause that's kind of after the
Stanley Cup final starts 2 days before the season starts now.
yeah.
They're giving away the Stanley Cup at the same time the game one is already
It's,
started.
it's usually over in June, so usually in June it's done. So.
Yeah, but it used to be the last week of May at the very latest. Well, not the very latest, that last week of May. But now it's like June 9th or some crap like that. Like, it's just going. Yeah,
I'll never forget when the Predators made it back 900 years ago to that Stanley Cup final game. The one game we went in Nashville, man, it was like 80 degrees outside. We're sweating our asses off in our hoodies and our jerseys and all decked out just to get in the arena. And obviously it's 55 degrees inside. Air conditioners blasted. That was really weird experience. Speaking of the Predators, we got to talk about them because they are killing it on the back nine right now. Now that the lockers are cleaned out, they are back nining it hard right now. Probably some golf course in Winnipeg, probably. But yeah,
not in Winnipeg.
Well, it was a joke. Whatever.
They're not golfing in Winnipeg, man.
There's been some interesting things real quick about the Predators. We'll wrap this up. They have come out with the whole interviews after the fact, and some people are kind of skirting around the issue and not saying much. And like Marchessault, he speaks his mind. He hasn't come out right flat out and like called anybody out for this, that, or the other. But he basically said that, I read an article, I think I shared it with you, maybe I didn't, about it basically, I guess Brunette's system didn't work very well. And I'm like, you think? He wasn't saying, he needs to be fired. He wasn't like calling names, but he started praising his Vegas Golden Knights coach and how this coach did this and that, and this was such a great hockey mind, and comparing him to Brunette, how Brunette is not, which he's not true. It's accurate. And then there's Stamkos, right? That man can beat around the bush like nobody's business, man. They asked him a question. He's like, well, when things aren't going well, you're just in a bad mood and it just affects you. And then, even if you have a good day, you still have a bad day. It's just like if you go to dinner and and I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about, bro? Your season sucked. The team is garbage. The coach needs to be fired. And you're talking about having a bad dinner and still having a bad, what the, man, that dude was skating some.
This is the way it could have gone, Can you tell us, Stamkos, how do you feel about how this thing? Do you see how next year being better, and what do you think you could have done to make this season better? What could have been done differently? Who are you with? Yeah, what kind of question is that? Yeah, fake news. Next.
Yeah, he said, we can improve some things.
I couldn't do the impression, but I'm sure you know who I was talking about. Anyways.
Yeah. Next year's going to be the best year ever. You've never seen a hockey year like next year. Anyways.
We're going to be the Stanley Cup champions. I know it. You know it. He knows it. Everybody knows. Oh, sorry. How does he do the finger thing again? Everybody knows it.
Yeah. Everybody. The best ever. Best hockey season there ever been in hockey. Yeah, anyways. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. And I know it went longer than
the Jets weren't really number one. There was cheating.
Yeah.
They gamed the system.
American hockey teams are the better hockey teams. There is no Canadian hockey anymore.
Canada doesn't deserve the cup. We took it from them because we were better than they were.
It's all going to be American hockey now. There is no more Canada hockey.
Yeah, National Hockey League means Canada only. I mean, U.S. only. Okay. All right. We need to stop.
Yeah. All right.
That's enough. We've had enough. We haven't heard enough of this.
Best podcast ever. Best episode ever.
And you know it. I know it. He knows it. And you know it.
All
Click
right.
the links.
Best links ever.
And you know it.
All right. Well, I am Robert from Nashville, United States of Americas, and my co-host
it would be Lionel from Toronto. Go Canada, go.
See you next week. Peace.